Hello and welcome to Diniz Farms. We're here with another episode of Mercer County, and today we've got lots of small changes that we've made here. And by changes I mean improvements to the farm. So I did wrap up our anhydrous off camera here, and then we advanced time a couple of days. And I was looking at the map and I realized that the two fields that I wanted to buy, field 22 and field 18, that now is probably the right time to do it. And it looks like there's still corn in field 22. And so that might be just a little bit cheaty, but we're gonna actually run out there and check on that corn and see if that's something we want to harvest here. I think we're gonna harvest it. And so we are in late autumn here still, so there's still plenty of time. You can see, because we did move forward several days of seasons, our winter wheat's already coming up, which seems a little aggressive to me, but at least it's going to be up before the snow or freezing weather comes, and we're going to be able to have that survive the winter here, and all those weeds that are already growing in it should hopefully die off. Now, we bought two fields, and they're just down the road here from the farm. So I think we'll start and go look at field 22 here first, which should be just down this road. Now, looking at the map, I think that there's a creek or something that runs down over here. And so we're gonna go check this out real quick. We've got the bridge here. Yep, there's a little creek here. And here's the driveway into this field, in this grass field, I suspect. And so it looks like we've got an easement to get into our field over here. And so this cornfield here is the field that we've just purchased. And so if we turn the HUD on here, look at the map, it looks like this is our field. And if we just check, I mean, the growth stage is in ready to harvest. The lime, the pH level here doesn't look too bad. Nitrogen's abysmal, but hey, crops are crops. So I think we're gonna get the combine out and come over here and harvest some corn. Let's back out here and head over to the other field. We'll be able to get a better look at this entire field as we're harvesting, since we'll have to take the crop off to have enough room to work our way around this creek. But I suspect that that's an interesting field, given how it curves around the creek there. And so the other field that we bought should be right down this road that that our farm is based on. And so I think if we just come down here, it's this smaller field up closer to this farm. And so this is a pretty small field that we picked up here, but I think it'll be a good fit. Technically that's not the driveway, but this is the field that we've got. There's a lot of weeds there, but there's not a lot going on. It doesn't look like it's too crazy of a field or anything. Let's head on over here. I think it's just like our other field. It runs along the edge of this creek, so the backside might be a little bit bumpy here, but not a big deal. Yep, this is going to be a nice little field to pick up. I'm really excited, though, that we are able to pick up one more field of corn to harvest here. I think that's going to offset the cost of these two fields. We did take out a pretty sizable loan to pick these up. I think each of these fields came in at a little bit over $100,000 a piece. And so I think we ended up spending somewhere around $300,000 on the fields. Now, compared to real world prices, that's really not that bad of a deal. In fact, that'd be quite the steal. But we're just doing things based on the prices we've got here in Farm Sim and on this map. And so we are significantly in debt at this point. I believe our current loan is sitting somewhere, again, around $350,000. And so we're going to be paying some pretty decent interest payments here as we continue on. However, given that we're going to get a little bit more corn here to dry and sell as we get into winter, I think that's really going to help us offset the cost of that loan. So no regrets picking up that loan. I left about 16K sitting there in the wallet just to give us the opportunity to buy anything that we need. So we're back up here to the farm now. I thought it would be fun to drive out there and actually look at it, since this will be the first time that we're moving out into a different spot of the map. And that brings us to, we've got two other changes I'll show off. One of them we're actually going to use today. So that J&M grain cart was driving me nuts. And so I've picked up this Demco 650. Technically the mod has a 550 and a 750 option. If we just come into the store here, you can see it comes in a red and a green. And by default, it's a 550. You can go up to a 650 and a 750. The wheel setups available are regular or diamond shaped. And so this looks like a really cool cart. And I'll have a link to this in the description of the video. It just came out in the last week or so. So I'm really excited. This is going to be a perfect size cart for the farm. And we've got this hooked up to the 8530 right now because we were in the process of looking to fast forward time to spring and start planting again. And on the 7830, I swapped the planter out from the edit that I was using before to the 12-row planter that JHHG just released, the 30-inch stack fold. And so it's nice to have a good solid mod that doesn't have any errors, that is essentially the same planter we had before, but this one had the option to have liquid fertilizer tanks. And so we've gone ahead and added the liquid option here on the back of this planter. We're going to have to think about how we want to do that. Maybe we'll get some saddle tanks for the tractor as well. We'll do some research before spring. We've still got some time to keep editing things, but I had the mod list open and saw the opportunity to get some stuff on here. Plus, I thought we were moving to spring, and so I was getting all set up to get into planting and spring field work. But now that we've got this opportunity to do one more field of corn planting, I can't pass that up. So let's get this all hooked up. We'll run this equipment out to the field, and we'll catch up with you guys out there and kick off this corn harvest. All right, we're coming up to the field here with the truck. We've already got the combine and the grain cart out here. Luckily, there's nobody coming, so I think what we're going to try and do is actually back this truck into the field entrance here. We're gonna see if I can line this up in that grass along the guardrail and not put it all the way into the creek there. There we go. I think this should work out pretty well. We should be able to swing out and get back on the road here, and that leaves our tarp on the right side. And this is gonna leave us with this grain cart to run everything back out here. I'm super excited to get this thing going. I'm kind of curious to see what our yields are going to be, so we are going to turn on the HUD here to get started. And as we kind of go through the process here, check out the edge of this creek. The terrain details on this map are pretty nice. As always, MRG does a great job on the little details on his maps. You've got your trees and your bushes. Everything looks nice. You've got a nice embankment going down into the stream here, so definitely liking the details here on this map. Our yield, not impressive, but I've seen worse corn. This is 183 bushels an acre that we're averaging here. We do have a couple different soil types on this particular field, so I think we'll see some different yield values here as we kind of get around the field. But for the most part, we're coming in at a pretty steady 184, which looks nice. This should be a nice feather in our cap as far as yields go. I think it's really going to take the pain out of this crop purchase for us, which is good. Maybe not entirely realistic to be able to purchase a field with a crop on it that you're going to get to sell, but that's how things landed here for us, and honestly, I think that's okay sometimes. It's going to let us continue to grow the farm, get a few additional pieces of equipment here as we get into spring, and give us the flexibility to try out the Demco grain cart that we got here. Actually, that grain cart we got for a steal. It was only 17K, and so that's not very expensive at all. So once we sold off that J&M, took out a big loan to buy these fields, we had plenty of money left over to pick up that grain cart as well, since it was a net profit for us. Now what I'm wondering is how far around this field I'm going to get before we fill up on corn. If this was a better fertilized field, we definitely wouldn't be making it all the way around, I don't think. But as it stands, we're only 50% full right now. We're not quite to what I would think of as the halfway point of this field, which would be this far corner. And so I think we'll probably have to unload before we get to the end, but we're in a pretty good spot. Now I don't want to back into this irrigation ditch. That was a little bit close. So let's take this down. These nice straight rows here are going to be much easier to manage, obviously. I was half tempted to take that headland pass all the way back up to that same corner so that we could dump right up at that entry corner. But where's the fun in that? I'd rather get to use the grain cart and come down here and unload the combine. So we've just got to keep an eye on our hopper here and hopefully remember to cut in before we fill up here. Although with corn, you'd have kind of a hard time cutting in on a cornfield, I think. Our yield is worse in this corner. You can see that we're getting darker orange and red bits here and there. And so I think that that's due to the different soil types here. Luckily, the farmer was kind enough to include his soil tests when we purchased this field from him. And so we could pull those up here, I suppose, in a moment and take a look at that. Let's get adjusted here so that we're going straight. If we real quick pull up the precision farming map here, actually I forgot to put the cruise on, so we're not going anywhere. You can see actually the sandy loam section is pretty good. The silty clay will be the worst part of the field here on the bottom. And then for field 18, it's a similar story where we got lots of sandy loam. We'll have a little bit worse than the silty clay, but we do have a nice loam spot here along the creek. And so I think it'll balance out and be a pretty decent field for us. Now we're already at 80-90% of our hopper here. And so I think what we're going to do is there's enough of a space here between our field and the neighbor's field that we should be able to put our pipe out here, and we'll just run down here with the grain cart, I think, and unload this guy. Actually, we'll leave the pipe in so that we can get by and get turned around. Now, I'm always nervous with a new grain cart. Lots of things that can go wrong. First off, is the fill plane going to be set up in a way, slash is the cart short enough to go under my pipe? And so that's always a fun thing to figure out for the first time. And then unloading, is it going to be a slow unload speed? Is the auger going to line up well with my truck? All kinds of questions. So let's go ahead and just get this corn dumping out here. And then I think once we get some of the corn going, we can maybe hire the worker off here to work his way down the length of this field. And we'll unload him on the go just to see how that goes here. Now we are using the steering wheel, so I'm going to try and control my speed here, but that's proving to be a little bit difficult. The pedal is pretty sensitive, so let's leverage cruise control at least. Oh my goodness. Too many different controls to handle. There we go. I don't have a button for cruise control on my steering wheel, so we'll get there, folks, but hopefully this will turn into some smoother driving as I adjust to this. For those that didn't watch my last live stream on the Millennial Farmer map, we busted out the steering wheel, and we're gonna try and start using that here from this point forward. We'll see how it goes. But this 650 grain cart seems to be working really well. It's taken the corn really well, at least. So let's jump out of this. I don't necessarily want this worker going right back around here. We're going to want to take another headland pass off. So I'm just going to stop him real quick here. We'll get back to him in a second, but I want to take this grain cart over here and see how this is going to work out for us. And so the goal here is to unload him from this road, but I didn't think about it. We don't really have a great spot to turn around here. I probably wouldn't want to be turning around on the road, so realistically we might have wanted to back him all the way up to the field there. Now this auger seems to work really well with the trailer. This semi has those really tall stack pipes on it. That's a little bit of a problem. And the unload speed on this grain cart seems to be nice. No complaints there. We've almost emptied 400 bushels in just a few seconds. So for me, this is definitely an upgrade. And I'm just looking at the F1 menu. There's no mouse controls for adjusting the chute or anything. It's just a basic chute, which honestly I kind of prefer, because most grain carts that I've used, the default on the chute is way too far in. It's not actually where you'd ever want to use it, and it doesn't seem to save its position very well. So this is going to work out so much better than that other cart we were using. And it looks pretty snazzy too. I like the Demco green and yellow. So let's get this combine going here again. We're going to take off another headland pass around the creek here, and then we will likely get a worker started off on stuff for us so that we can run the grain cart. That promises to be a bit more efficient, and we'll be able to wrap up this cornfield here pretty quick, I think. Alright, we are at the end of our long rows here, and I'm just getting the hopper cleaned out because I want this helper to hopefully be able to finish up the other end here. We'll see how he does with that little straggly bit that he left there, but it'd be nice if he could make his way back down there. I'm not sure if we'll completely get all of the corn into this one truck and grain cart, but we're gonna try. We are still turning around on the road here, and as bad as that is, I won't lie though, when I worked on the farm, we did actually have one field that we didn't feel comfortable putting the trucks into the field. Just the way the driveway was, it was way too steep. And so we would actually load our trucks right on the dirt road. Probably not exactly legal, but I know farmers do it all the time. I think it fell into one of those situations of safe is kind of a relative term. You know, they don't like you loading on the roads because it's not safe to have all that equipment stopped on the road. A lot of people don't expect it, but at the same time, your own personal safety has to be worth something, right? So I'm going to leave this grain cart here. We're going to jump into the combine, and it does look like we're going to need to take this little bit here. We left that one corn stalk back there. I'm sure it'll irk me later, especially when I'm editing and have to look at it for a second time. Well, that's okay. Not thinking that we'll get all of this corn into the combine hopper, but we'll definitely get this corn into the grain cart and semi truck, I think. I'm not sure if we emptied the grain cart just then. I forgot to look. I think the semi is pretty much full though. And so either way, I'm feeling pretty confident that between these three vehicles, we'll have enough for all of the corn. I'd really like to get the corn out of the combine. I don't think I would drive the combine down the road full of corn, but I might take the grain cart back up to the farm. It's not that far of a drive, and so we'll see where we end up when we're done with this field though. We've got a little bit left to go here. If we just take a quick look at the mini map here with the precision farming data on it, you can see that we've got our little bed section down here. That's the different soil type, so we're taking a little bit of a hit there on yield, but overall the rest of this field seems to be doing pretty good. We're averaging 183 bushels across the field so far, so that little spot didn't really drag us down that much. Oh, we jumped a row. We gotta get on the right rows here. This is corn after all. It does tend to make a difference. And it also helps when you put your header down. So all in all, I think this is a perfect field addition to the farm. It's not too big. It's just the right size for the equipment that we're running still. It didn't feel too daunting here to tackle the corn harvest, which I was a little bit anxious about. But we do have the 12-row head here, and the new grain cart's working out amazing. And so I definitely am glad that we made the switch to that grain cart. It just functions all around better than that J of M for my playstyle. And just popping the HUD back open here, it is looking like we might get all of this corn in the hopper of the combine, so we'll be able to run this back up to the other end and not have to hike it back out there for the grain cart again, which will be nice. And similarly to the new grain cart, I'm really excited to try out this updated planter. I think it's going to work out really well for us. And I think the addition of liquid fertilizer will bring some more equipment needs to our farm, so we are going to need some kind of a nurse trailer to handle the liquid fertilizer, I'm suspecting. I do have my go-to that I always use, which is the edit that Perma's Modding did to the next gen nurse trailer, but I think there's a couple other ones out there, so we might try something new. We'll see if for spring I can find some new liquid cart of some kind, as well as we still need to pick our sprayer finally. So I've got my eye on a couple of things. We're gonna keep that one close to the vest until we get to the actual episode where we need to use the sprayer. We've already spilled the beans on the updated planter today, and so hopefully we can keep finding some new mods to keep things interesting. I do like making some small changes to the farm, as long as we're not making too many at the same time. It's always finding that balance between keeping it realistic and keeping it entertaining. So we'll keep making some small changes to the farm here as we continue through the seasons. We're almost done with these short rows. This has been quite the experience here. I thought we were done with harvest, and this is the bonus harvest. So I'm super excited that we got to get back out here in the field and do one more round of harvest. This is my favorite time of the year, and I think we're gonna cheat just a little. I'm gonna take this corner off the other way so I don't have to turn around so many more times. I think I would have had a little bit more than 2 passes if we'd kept going the other way. So we're just gonna eat this corner up like this, and boom, we are done with harvest. So I'm gonna take this all the way back up to the other end of the field here, and we're gonna check and see if the grain cart still has some corn in it, or if this is gonna go in a little bit into the truck. Either way, I guess we need to put it into the grain cart. I'm not gonna drive it back up to the farm in the combine like this. Let's go ahead and get this dumped into the grain cart. Alright, so we've got all of the corn into the grain cart here. It's only 260 bushels. We are going to whip around here because it doesn't look like the semi is quite full. And so I just as soon top the semi off and have that drive the corn back up to the field, as opposed to leaving anything in the grain cart. I'm just looking at it though. I don't think there's any way that we get it all into the semi here. I've been wrong before, but I think we'll have about 100 bushels left. Oh, a little bit less, 87 bushels, so that's okay. We've got plenty of horsepower to be pulling this thing around. I think it'll handle fine on the road. And I'm turning around in the neighbor's field after all that work to try and stay off of it. So let's go ahead and get this truck run up to the farm. We'll get the grain dryer started off here right quick. I just want to make sure that we didn't misjudge the distance there. I think we can make it around that guard railing. Good deal. We should have tarped up before we took off, but we'll get it now. And we're gonna haul this right up to the farm and get the corn dryer going again. This is gonna be just over a load of corn here, so not quite 1,800 bushels. But honestly, a load of corn is a load of corn. And so this is gonna sell pretty nicely once we get it dried here into the winter months. So I'm super excited that we got this opportunity to not only add on to the farm like we were planning, but to do so in a way that makes good economical sense in the farm sim world. Avoid driving over our freshly sprouted winter wheat here. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, drop a like on the video. It helps the channel out immensely. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for daily farm sim content. We've got plenty of room in our corn dryer, so I'm not worried about this at all. That's all for today. Kedurk out. We'll get a better look. Oh, come on now.